I'm really glad that you all have stuck around, and thank you so much for coming out tonight. I think I'm not the only one that's incredibly inspired by what we've heard. People who are facing this every day, I can't imagine waking up every morning feeling that way, but we're all here behind you. Many more people than who showed up in this room is here behind you, and we're not going to stop sending those letters, making those calls, showing up, because this is very, very serious, right? It's not just one pipeline, it's a culture of this. It's corporations running rampant and disregard for our livelihood, our homes, our families, everything you've heard tonight. Climate change is the most urgent existential threat that society has ever faced. The dirty energy industry has long been deceiving and knowingly endangering the public for monetary gain in the hands of a few. Scientists began pondering the greenhouse effect nearly 200 years ago, and the link between fossil fuel combustion and global warming has been understood for a century. It's not new. It's definitely not a political issue either, though recently we've decided it should be one. How dare fossil fuel corporations take the future of our world into their hands with such disregard for the enormity of their destruction, blinded by arrogant greed. They're pushing these pipelines and leading us further down the plank that they've sold us as a bridge. It's critical that we understand the gravity of our decisions now. We're at a turning point. We know what is at stake, but we know how to fix it, and we must get started. There has been an intentional, well-coordinated, and heavily funded effort to shape public perception around our energy. The truth is, it is absolutely possible and economically feasible to transition to 100% clean energy nationwide right now with technology that already exists. And that's what they're trying to convince us is not possible. So the work that I do is to convince people that it's possible, because we know that it is. I'm unwaveringly optimistic because I know the immense possibilities of clean energy, and there's lots of good news. The clean energy transformation is happening, and it's growing. We're seeing leadership at the local level around the country. 89 American cities and counties have already committed to 100% clean energy, and that number is rapidly increasing. Every time I try to give my PowerPoint, I have to go back and edit it because at least one more city is committed. It's really frustrating when I need to print things. Don't like to waste paper, but I have to update it every day. Over 2/3 of Virginian voters support a goal of generating 100% of the state's electricity from clean sources by 2030, and that is across political parties. So also another lie that it is a political issue. We're seeing that people in Virginia are supporting this, especially when there's things like pipelines that they're trying to give us instead. Our 100% Virginia campaign is working to grow a statewide movement for clean energy, starting in communities, with people demanding their local leaders take action and commit to 100% clean energy by 2050. We know that this goal is achievable, so we must build the support and the public demand to shift the political and social will and send a very strong message to our utilities, investors, and state legislators. For too long, the fossil fuel industry has been calling the shots, but we are building change from the ground up and creating a path for development of strong energy policies and moving the state forward towards the clean energy future that we need. The first lie that we have to combat is the false and common economic argument. Clean energy is affordable, and costs are continuing to plummet. Last year, renewables were the cheapest sources of new electricity, even without subsidies, across their lifetime. Energy from renewable sources has more stable and predictable prices than fossil fuels, like fracked gas, which can vary dramatically and are subject to unexpected price increases. We hear a lot about jobs. Well, the clean energy industry is thriving and bringing lasting, well-paying jobs around the country. According to the U.S. Energy and Employment Report, there were 3.2 million Americans working in clean energy last year. That's outnumbering fossil fuel jobs 3 to 1. On average, more jobs are created for each unit of electricity generated using renewable sources than from fossil fuels. Clean energy jobs are local, they can't be outsourced overseas, and they are located across the U.S., bringing opportunities and financial stability from metropolitan centers to rural communities. Clean energy is more reliable, more resilient, more secure. It doesn't require transportation on trains, tankers, or in pipelines that leak and spill. Energy from renewables is generated within the U.S., unimpeded by international conflicts and price instability. Clean energy is distributed, so it is less prone to large-scale failure, and these systems are modular, consisting of multiple units, so if one is damaged, the others continue to operate. We need the reliability of clean energy because losing power costs the US tens of billions of dollars a year, threatens society's ability to function with serious detriment to critical services. Our dependence on fossil fuels has built an energy system that is unjust and without equal access. Communities of color and low-income communities are disproportionately burdened with the impacts of fossil fuel pollution and climate change. The clean energy transformation gives us an amazing opportunity to dismantle these dirty and destructive energy systems that have created and exacerbated environmental injustices. Together, we can rebuild a more equitable and just clean energy future, protecting vulnerable communities. We know that toxic air and water pollution from fossil fuels is lethal, and transitioning to clean energy means we will all live healthier lives. Scientists at MIT have shown that air pollution from fossil fuels alone causes over 200,000 deaths in America every year, including over 1,300 in Virginia. America spends hundreds of billions of dollars on healthcare costs due to the impacts of fossil fuels. A lot of money, but more importantly, a whole lot of lives will be saved by the transition to clean energy. Renewables protect us from the pollution and damage created during every step of fossil fuel energy generation. Wind, water, and solar are effective and efficient without the lasting devastation of fossil fuels. Sunlight is immediately converted to electricity in solar panels. Wind and water turn turbines and generate electricity right there, leaving behind no waste. There is no looming threat of solar panels or wind turbines in your backyard like there is with pipelines. Planning for climate mitigation and adaptation is necessary, but clean energy is the only solution that addresses the causes of climate change. Through the clean energy transformation, we will end our reliance on dirty energy systems that force us to pay the industry to poison our communities, disrupt our climate, devastate the environment, and leave us economically burdened. We move forward towards a better future for all, rebuilding a new society powered by clean, renewable energy that is healthier, safer, smarter, more resilient, more equitable, and just. With clean energy, we are investing in the future, leaving a livable planet for our children and their children to thrive. In the words of the Sierra Club Executive Director, Mike Brune, Rome wasn't built in a day, but the important thing to remember is that once they happen, clean energy victories are irreversible. No one will tear down wind farms because they are nostalgic for fracking in our watersheds, and nobody will pull down their solar panels because they miss having mercury in their tuna, or asthma inhalers for their kids. Because once we leave fossil fuels behind, we're never going back. Thank you.